Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? And we don't need to put the dishes in the oven tonight because we're doing fried chicken, and I normally serve it in like a basket with paper towel and stuff. So tonight we are doing fried chicken, and we're going to cover a couple things tonight. I'm going to take apart a chicken for you guys because that is a skill that is really handy to have, and it's really easy to do. So we're going to do that. We're going to cover one cool thing that I have that I like. I'm going to try and cover one of my cool things that I really like in my kitchen every stream, and just general tips and tricks. So we're going to do two kinds of fried chicken tonight. We're going to do like a classic buttermilk fried chicken, which is probably the best way to have fried chicken. The buttermilk fried chicken is just sort of the iconic recipe. I'm also going to do Hattie B's like a Nashville hot chicken, which I personally really like. It's smoking hot and really tasty. And somebody requested cauliflower thing, so we're going to do a cauliflower dish as well. Kind of a southern fried chicken cauliflower thing. We're going to do a cauliflower mash and load it up with cream and butter and some cream cheese. So, okay. So first of all, cool thing. The cool thing for this week, I can't show you guys. I'm standing on it, and I'm totally sold on these things. I have a comfort mat for the kitchen. It's kind of like an overgrown yoga mat. If you don't have one of these in your kitchen and you've never used one, it is like life-changing. I love this thing. It's fantastic. It's easy to clean. It really makes standing in the kitchen. I have like a tile floor here. It makes standing in the kitchen so much more comfortable. So, cool thing for the week. Unfortunately, I can't show you. I can show you one other cool thing. So, since we're doing fried chicken, I have a deep fryer here, which I'm going to leave over here on the counter because it's quite loud when it's frying, and I don't want to have it right under the mic. This is made by a company called Fry Daddy. I've had many deep fryers in my cooking career. I've had, I used to have a Rotobril vintage one, which was really scary because it was made in the 50s before safety was a thing. I've had 2 or 3 of the Canadian Tire specials, the Tefal one, which was supposed to clean itself, and it didn't. They were supposed to maintain temperature, all these promised features, and none of them, they all sucked. But this one doesn't, and it's really cheap on Amazon. This comes in 2 models. This is the Grandpappy, which is bigger. They claim the Fry Daddy will do like the regular version, which is smaller, which I've never used, will do like fried food for a family of 4. There's no way. Like, it's impossible. This one's the large version, and like it's taxed to make wings for 2. Now it does heat up really fast, and you can kind of crank food through it. But like when I do wings for 2, I basically do most of the wings, and then the fries, and then the rest of the wings, and that takes like 15 or 20 minutes. So if you're in the market for one of these, it's less than $100. Heats up super fast. It's really easy to clean on the inside because it's like Teflon non-stick. If you don't stay on top of cleaning the outside, which I haven't really, it doesn't affect the performance. It gets a little crusty, so every once in a while, preparing rabbit. No, don't ask me about preparing rabbit. We'll talk about rabbit in a sec. I have never had a lot of luck with rabbit. But let's stick with chicken for now. We can talk about rabbit at the end. So I want to show you guys how to take apart chicken. And actually, before that, let's talk about, I guess, where to get chicken. Anytime you're cooking, like fried chicken to me is really special. You can buy fried chicken like at Metro or Loblaws or FreshCo or whatever. I've never had luck with those chickens. They don't taste very good. The last time I bought chicken at Metro, I bought a 3-pack, which was really cheap. It was like, I don't even remember, but it seemed like a really great deal. And I cooked up the first one and threw the other 2 in the garbage. What size should I try to get for what the Grandpappy, the deep fryer? It's called the Fry Daddy Grandpappy. I guess. Oh, chicken. I like smaller chickens. They're not always that easy to get. A chicken that's like around 2.5, 3 pounds makes really, really nice fried chicken. Sometimes you have to go to a butcher and either ask or pick through their selection. But I really like. I got this guy at St. Lawrence Market actually. and I'll show them to you in a second. But it's worth getting like a quality chicken. Now there are things you can do to make chicken taste better, but like start with a good chicken. The other thing you have to do with chicken, which you always, no matter how you're cooking your chicken, you want to brine it. And brining is not, sorry in the corner here. I'll show you guys. And flip back to, okay. So this guy's been sitting in here since about 8 o'clock this morning. You should always brine your chicken. Even if you only have like an hour, throw it in some salted water, cold water, for an hour. It makes a huge difference. You don't want to brine your chicken overnight. Like a lot of recipes will say, leave it overnight in the fridge, but it'll get too salty, or at least it will with my brine. This is kind of my go-to brine, and I just want to show you guys here. So I got a bunch of bay leaves in here. There's a whole bunch of peppercorns floating around. I think it was like chopped up a couple of lemons. There's a lot of salt in here, and I used some honey this time. I'm going to try that. So this is sort of a basic brine, but you don't have to, oh, there's a whole bunch of thyme in here. Like literally like a bunch of thyme, which I also like. But you can throw whatever aromatics you want in. You can use thyme, rosemary, sage. You can put fresh oregano in, really whatever you want. But at the very least, just salt and water will do the trick. Salt, water, and you're good to go. It makes a huge difference to your chicken. Okay, so we talked about where to get a chicken, and the last thing before we get started cooking, I want to talk a little bit about recipes, because I've had some requests. People want to know what the recipe is, and I've been trying to figure out a way to, like, I could probably post on Instagram before the stream or stuff, but I'm a little hesitant to do that because the whole time I've been cooking, the one thing that really held me back was recipes. Like I do programming, coding right now for a living, and so I'm used to following instructions, and I like things logical, and recipes always made a lot of sense to me. It was a set of steps. You do the steps and you get the finished product. And for years and years and years and years, I just followed recipes, and I never really thought about like the method or why. Like, and it's easy to do, and you do learn. But all I was doing was getting better at following recipes and preparing recipes from instructions, and not ever learning about sort of the whys. So one of the things I want to do, because you can go, even for fried chicken, like you can Google fried chicken. You can Google best fried chicken recipe, and you can go read about somebody's trip to the Grand Canyon and how they lost their kid, and eventually you'll get down to the part where they actually write down their recipe. But sooner or later, it's easy to find a recipe, and it's really easy to find really, really good recipes on the internet. But what I want to do in this stream is sort of the method and the process, and explain why we do the things that we do, so that you have that in your background knowledge, and then when you go to look for a recipe, you'll know what you're looking for, and you'll be able to go, okay, well that makes sense, that doesn't make sense, I want to try this recipe. Yeah, I know, recipe blogs drive me crazy. So that's kind of what I want to do here. I am going to try and figure out a way to post the recipes that I'm using, but as I said, if you Google Hattie B's fried chicken or if you Google buttermilk fried chicken, you will get Thomas Keller's buttermilk chicken recipe, which is the best fried chicken recipe there is. I've never had better fried chicken. So there you go. Okay, so now we are going to take apart the chicken. And why is it important to be able to take apart a chicken? And there's a whole bunch of reasons. I'm going to have to dry this guy off. But let's drag him out. First of all, it's way less expensive to buy chicken this way. Always be careful with water and a deep fryer. I'm not being here. Go on, button. I don't know who gets all the money from cutting up chicken, but the last time I did the math, it's cheaper to buy a whole chicken and take the breasts off and throw the rest away. You're still saving money even if you only use the breasts. So if you want to save some money, and I'm not I'm not super big on saving money on ingredients. I always spend too much on ingredients. But having said that, I'm not going to throw money away either. So once you learn how to take apart a chicken, you will save a ton of money, which is also good. The other thing too is if you buy chicken, if you buy the parts, you don't get the carcass to make stock with after. And making chicken stock is super easy. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit at the end. I use an Instant Pot for my stock, and I save up like, when I have 3 of these guys, I throw them in the Instant Pot, top it off. Pressure cookers make amazing stock. So it's a really easy thing to do. And if you buy your chicken in pieces, you don't get that opportunity. Okay, let's take this guy apart. I always start with a sharp knife. Oh, that was my tip. I learned this, well, I didn't learn this the other day, but I was reminded of it yesterday. I love this knife, and I dropped it off the counter the other day. But one thing I learned working in kitchens is a falling knife has no handle. Just let it go, guys. Don't try and catch a falling knife. I really wanted to reach out and save this one because I was terrified it was going to land on the tile point down. It didn't. It landed on the handle. But if a knife falls off the counter, just let it go. Okay, that's my tip. Okay, so I always take the wings off first, and it's really easy. You don't need to be shy. There's no technique here. You don't need to be a surgeon to get the wing off a chicken. Okay, just cut it off. And with we should talk about knives actually, just for a sec. I use this knife for pretty much everything now. It's a really great size for me for a chef's knife. However, the other thing I'll use for it, I used to use this guy. This is a boning knife. This is for taking apart a chicken. It's a little, like it's got a flexible blade on it. It gets into like nooks and crannies, and it's easy to dig in between the bones. It's a lot easier to control. I don't use it anymore, but if you have one kicking around, maybe for your first try doing a chicken, this would be a good way to go. I'm just used to this. Take the split end off. You're not going to eat it. Your dog will love it. If you have a dog, they love these things. I don't, so this will normally get reserved for stock for me. So if I was making chicken wings, I would split this wing. I'm not going to do it for fried chicken. I like to fry these guys whole. To split this guy, it's really easy. I'll show you. I'll split one. And it's that easy. Just right through, right? 2 pieces. Okay. And let's get in here and take the other one apart. And again, that just comes off, right? Pretty easy. Take the tip off. The other thing you do before and I'm going to leave this one whole. Before you turn your chicken into like a carcass, you can take all the fat off. This may be overkill for some of you guys, but you can make schmaltz, like chicken fat. It is amazing to cook with. You're going to do chicken fried steak. That's what it is. But schmaltz is always handy to have around for a ton of different reasons. It's like duck fat. Once you start using it, you'll use it in everything. Okay. So again, now we're going to take the legs out. That's next. And again, it's pretty straightforward. I hope you guys can see okay. Am I covering it up? Okay, and then so that's one leg off. Now to split a leg and a thigh, yes, duck fat is really good. To split a leg and a thigh, there's a little, you get used to it when you do a few of these, and don't worry about it if you don't get it right. There's a little white area here where you just kind of like run the knife through, and you'll go right through the joint. The first couple times you may hit the bone. Don't worry about it. Dig around in there. The first time you take apart a chicken, it's kind of a slaughter. But that's okay. Like you'll get good at it. I don't always get it right either. As you can see. So again here, I'm kind of, well, no, I didn't miss the bonus right here. But just dig around again, take this guy out. There we go. And again, I'm going to split this drumstick into the thigh. There we go. Breasts are actually really easy. Again, it's pretty straightforward, guys. The center of the chicken, we're going to just run the knife down one side here. So there's a breastbone here. But the breast really just comes off really easily. Just run it down the breastbone. Now, if you want to get picky about it, there's 2 ways to take apart a chicken. There's an 8-piece cut, which is if I left this breast whole, and there's a 10-piece where I'm going to split the breast. In this particular case, I am going to split the breast because this would be a huge piece of fried chicken. And it depends on the size of your chicken, but on a bigger chicken, I'll even cut these in 3. But let's just cut this guy in 2 here. Also, on the back of the breast is the cutlet. It's this little bit here. I usually take it off and drop it in and eat it on the side when I'm cooking, because it will, it kind of just hangs off the breast and gets in the way. And we're just going to dig into this one. And again, I'm not doing anything special here, guys. And this is a big knife, and I'm just cutting into it. Hung up on the breastbone. There we are. So the wishbone, breastbone, that's right there. That can catch the knife, but we kind of got around it. And I now have to figure out what to do with this carcass while I'm finishing a stream. So what I'm going to do... Okay, we're going to talk about more favorite things. I've probably talked about these. Go back to the thing. I've probably talked about these guys before. These quarter sheet pans. If you work in a restaurant, could you do bone-in breast if you wanted? I never tried. It's easier to take apart a chicken, take it off the bone, than it is to leave the bone in. If I was going to do a bone-in, I'd cut the back out of this guy and split it from the other side. I would also use a much bigger knife. I hope that answers the question. These quarter sheet pans, if you work in a restaurant, half sheets are the way to go. If you don't, quarter sheet pans are your friend. You can put 2 or 3 of these in the oven. This, for me, this is a roasting pan. It's a prep tray. It's a place to put my chicken carcass when I didn't plan out in advance what to do with it during the stream. You can prepare food on it. I've used it as it's high enough to actually do a small casserole in, but right now it's just holding on my carcass over there. And we're gonna split this guy. Come on. And again, you can see here, I got this little cutlet guy here. Probably should have taken that off in one piece. And again, see, it's just gonna fall off anyway, guys. So just take it off. I usually drop it in the fryer and just eat it. Switch camera. Sorry. Yes. Okay. So there we go. There is our 10 pieces of chicken. Actually, it's 11 because we split the we split the wing, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this, throw it in the sink. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about. Now I'm gonna go back to this. We're going to talk about the theory of frying chicken. What is fried chicken? You don't actually have to have a deep fryer, by the way, to fry chicken. I have done tons of fried chicken in a cast iron pan. It's a little scarier because you need a fair bit of oil, and you're going to flip your chicken it's like doing the steak. Just every couple minutes, flip the chicken until it's done. But you can make really, really good fried chicken in a cast iron pan. Okay, but chicken is obviously fried. Fried chicken at its, I guess theoretically its most basic would be just to take the piece and drop it in the hot oil and fry it. However, I really think fried chicken starts with a dredge. Yes, you can call fried chicken because you fried the chicken, but in terms of a recipe or the technique, chicken is at least dredged in something. And it can be as simple as coating it in flour and then throwing it in the deep fryer, which I have done before. Generally, you want to season your flour, though, so that's another thing. So I have here, so we have a 3-bowl setup here. Let's bring it forward here. Does this make sense? You can dredge your chicken once or you can dredge it twice. So we're going to do, buttermilk, hang on. We're doing a buttermilk fried chicken. and we're going to dredge it twice. So I would say at the very, very minimum, fried chicken starts with a dredged piece of chicken in flour, and then it's just fried. And you don't have to go any further than that. That will make amazing fried chicken with a nice crispy crust, just one coating of flour. But if you want to go a little bit more than that, season your flour. So, and you need a fair amount of salt because obviously not all of it sticks to the chicken. So let's upgrade our basic fried chicken recipe to a piece of chicken dredged in a seasoned flour and then fried. I think that's kind of where I would go with that. Now we're going to dredge it twice. Why? Well, because I like it that way. By dredging it twice, you get a much flakier... I don't want to compare it to KFC because that's really gross. But you do get that built-up, fluffy, layered crust when you dredge it twice. So this is set up for the buttermilk fried chicken. So in this seasoned flour here, I have garlic powder. And again, you can look this up. Everybody has their own blend. In this one, I have garlic powder, I have onion powder, I have salt and pepper, I have a little bit of cayenne. That's it. So for Nashville fried chicken, I would just use flour and salt because it gets coated in its own spice mix, which is right here, which I'm going to show you guys after. This spice mix will overpower anything that you do eat with your seasoned flour. However, since I didn't want to mix up a billion bowls of flour, I'm going to use, because hot chicken is also a double dredge, so I'm going to cheat and kind of use it for both. So let me just get rid of this. Okay, there is a technique for dredging chicken. And I've read about it a million times, and it involves like a wet hand and a dry hand, so that you don't... paprika. There is paprika in... Not here. In the Hattie B's one. It has some paprika in it. Paprika is really good. So when it comes to seasoning, if you ever get into barbecue, paprika is an excellent carrier for other spices. If you want to make a spice blend, like a lot of spices are overpowering. So if you're going to... if you want to use cayenne, for example, in a spice blend, if you just use cayenne and the other spices, you just don't have enough of it to like spread around, right? It's impossible to control the concentrations. This is, by the way, the reason that pills are made sometimes as big as they are. I know you look at a pill and it's like this huge pill, and you look at the active ingredients, and the active ingredients are only like 2% of the pill. It's not because they like bulking them out or selling you more. It's because it's the only way to control the consistency of the product. Because the active ingredient is so small that if they tried to put exactly the right amount of ingredient in a little tiny pill, they'd never get it right. So paprika is your big pill for spices. So you can take a lot of paprika and then add in cayenne and salt and pepper and garlic powder and onion powder, which are all really strong spices, and mix them together. And then now you have a lot of spice mixture that you can spread around without overpowering your food. And you'll spread the flavor and spice evenly. Now, having said all that, Nashville hot chicken is pretty much... I'm using cayenne powder as a carrier here. So it's going to be spicy. That's just the way it is. But if you ever do barbecue, or you're ever doing barbecue rubs, like a brisket or a pork shoulder or whatever, or even just ribs, yes, paprika is a really, really good base to start with for a spice mix. Okay, and I was going on about the wet hand, dry hand thing before I got sidetracked. I always screw it up. I end up with like 2 Michelin Man mitts of flour, which I'm going to turn around and rinse off as we go. I know there's a technique for doing this, and I start out with the best of intentions, and I just don't ever get it right. So let's just go through and dredge this, and I'll show you guys how it goes. You do want to do it in order, though, because the flours end up at different consistencies after they get dipped in the liquid. So I'll start with the breast, and this guy just goes in here. We're going to shake them off. I'm going to try this. This should be like my wet hand. Oh, shit. As I just drop it in. Okay. Let that drain off. And into this stuff. I don't know. See, I got 2 wet hands already. Anyway. But this is kind of what you're looking for. This, I don't know if you guys can see. You can't see, kind of like the lights are kind of blown out here. You got that like layered effect, and that's going to fry up really nicely. So I'm going to quickly dredge these. Any other questions? Yes, Flour God Man. As I said, now I've even forgotten which is the wet and which is the dry. I think this is, no, this is wet. Okay. I normally don't keep them separate for more than 2 pieces, so we've already set a record here. And then you're going to get that nice shaggy crust. And I haven't even talked about the cauliflower thing. I'm not sure I'm going to get that to that tonight. I might have to save it for another stream. Maybe we'll try towards the end. Because it's got like steam and a bunch of milk and stuff. I may have overreached myself with adding the cauliflower to the thing. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, you guys can see this. Here, this is, so, and again, got another one of my trays here. I only have 4 of these, but you really can't have too many of them. Yeah. Look at this. I actually got a wet hand here. I'm impressed. So, does anybody have any questions as we sort of go through this? Like, when it comes down to it, there's not really like a whole lot to this technique once you get the basics. And this is what I talked about recipes. Like, if you look at the butter chicken recipe, buttermilk chicken recipe, it actually looks kind of intimidating. There's the brine has like 8 or 9 ingredients, and then there's a dredge has 8 or 9 ingredients, and it's like, it does. It will work on anything. As long as the flour sticks to it originally. Like, see there, blue. Oh, well. Like, I don't know if you could salt a carrot stick. I do not warm the buttermilk. I just use it cold. I can't imagine it would make a difference. In fact, I'm not sure you'd want it warm. All right, let's go. I also have a ton of leftover mix here. You can see it's starting to build up on the digits here. But you see, I don't know if you guys can see that, a nice shaggy coating there. That's what you want. And again, the wing, I don't, as I said before, there we go. Now I've done it. I don't split these guys unless I'm doing chicken wings. And then the other thing you would do differently if you were doing chicken wings is, so chicken wings you only single dredge. And I actually use like a flavored cornstarch for chicken wings because it gives a nice crispy crust. But just as an aside, it's important to let your chicken wings hydrate. So when you dredge chicken wings for the fryer, let them sit for about half an hour. Don't just dredge them in cornstarch and then throw them straight into the yep, now I'm Michelin Man. Straight into the fryer. It's important that they hydrate. So, I'm not a huge drumstick fan, but I know some people like them. Yes, the steps for the Nashville chicken are the same. If I was doing Nashville chicken only, I would still be doing a double dredge, but I wouldn't bother with a lot of seasoning in the flour. I would just do salt and flour, and instead of buttermilk, I would probably use whole milk and a couple of eggs. But that's the other thing too. Like once you learn this technique, you can dredge in whatever you want. Right? You could do this in potato flour, dredge it in an egg or egg yolks, and then dredge it again in seasoned flour. Like there's no real limits to what you do. And people, especially in the South, they're also fiercely protective of their recipes, but there's like a million different recipes. And they all vary a little bit. Some of them are, as I said, as straightforward as salt and pepper and flour, one dredge into the fryer. And there are restaurants in the South that have been around for 100 years, and that's their recipe. Like, that's it. And people line up for hours and hours and hours to get their chicken. So it's more about starting with a really good chicken and just look at this. Okay, excuse me for just one sec while I clean this up. All right. And again, I have a lot of... I mean, that's the other thing with recipes, too. I halved the recipe for this dredge, and I still have tons of it. And that's the other thing you'll learn. One thing to be aware of, not be aware of, but cookbooks written by chefs are awesome. And I buy them not because of the recipes, I mean, which are handy, but really, when I buy a cookbook, I'm buying it because I want to hear how the chef prepares his food. I want to hear what his theories are about the food, what he thinks about ingredients and stuff like that. Like the recipes, I could give a shit about, but I want to hear from the chef himself on how he thinks about cooking, what his theories are. But one thing with chef translated recipes is because they work in restaurants, a lot of times, I don't know if they just don't test the recipes or what, but even the brine recipe for this one is like start with 6 gallons of water. Like, really? For like one chicken? Come on. No, that's what I want to do. Okay. So, back to talking mode. So just before we start the fryer, does anybody have any questions about everything we've done? Okay. So the disadvantage of the Grandpappy back here is there's no thermostat on it. It heats the oil up to about 370, and it keeps it there, which is good for most people. However, it is nice to be able to control the temperature in your deep fryer. So, for example, if you're doing fries, you should always double fry your fries. So you do I don't know if we did this when we did the frites. You want to do your first fry at around 320, 325, and you want to do your second fry around 360. Now, I can't do that with mine, and I still double fry them, and it still turns out great, but it would be nice to have the option. And again, chicken, even fried chicken, I normally wouldn't be frying chicken thigh at 375. 330, 320 is a much better temperature. However, this is what I got, so this is what we're going to do. It's much better to have a consistent 370 than have oil on the stove where you're constantly checking the temperature and trying to figure out what the temperature is. So let's get to frying some chicken. So again, timing's different on these guys. It's really bright tonight. Anyway, dark meat and white meat are going to cook differently. So let's start with what's a breast? Let's start with the breast because they're going to cook quick, and that way I can. I've forgotten what's what. Why don't I have 4 pieces of breast? That's a thigh. Breast, thigh, breast. Okay, here we go. I always confuse them. And I really like what oil is in my fryer. It is canola oil. I don't use vegetable oil for anything anymore. I know it's a little bit cheaper, but it's not that much cheaper. And I just find that canola oil has a higher smoke point. It's got a much more neutral flavor. So unless I want my oil to like for cooking oil, I don't really want it to impart a flavor to chicken. The only time I do that is for a specific effect. So if I want my fries fried in duck fat, or fries in peanut oil are also really good. But I wouldn't fry chicken in peanut oil, and I wouldn't fry chicken in duck fat. Although, maybe I would. But not tonight. The point is, when you want a neutral oil, you want a neutral oil. And I just find vegetable oil isn't as neutral as I'd like, and canola oil is. Again, peanut oil, I don't want my... Yes, sunflower oil would be fine. Any grapeseed oil, just make sure it has a high enough smoke point. I know sunflower oil has a very high smoke point. Grapeseed oil has a very high smoke point. Canola does. I mean, vegetable oil is not too bad. Olive oil obviously doesn't. Duck fat is again around 370-ish. But use whatever you like. Like again, if you like the extra flavor that peanut oil is going to impart to your chicken, and that's your jam, then by all means fry it in peanut oil. I find peanut oil actually pretty hard to find if you're not in a restaurant, like in large enough quantities. Not 10W30. The only thing I would fry in 10W30 is like something from the supermarket that I wasn't going to eat, like a Metro chicken or something. But I want to drop these guys in because the chicken breast will cook in about like 6 minutes. Why does that seem like a thigh? Right down here. That's a thigh. Right down. There we go. I'm going to drop these guys in. We're going to cook. Oh, I still have fingers. Okay. So, always be really respectful of hot oil. This is just an open vat of hot oil, and I was just about to drop this in, and normally I would, but it's not a bad idea to like put your chicken in something and just lower it in. You don't have to be like terrified of your hot oil, but it does pay to be careful. It can burn you quite quickly without warning. And it can also, I mean, obviously you want to be careful with water around hot oil is also a big no-no. Okay, so I set the timer. Alright, we got about 6 minutes while that goes. If you're wondering why there's a dish towel over the microwave, and it's not really a microwave, it's more like a timer / clock that occasionally heats up coffee and makes popcorn. I got a really bad glare off the front of the microwave, so I just covered it up when I had the light set up for the stream. Okay, so should we go ahead? How are we doing for time here? 7:38. I feel like we should... Who requested cauliflower last week? First of all, are they even here? Is the cauliflower person here? Okay. Alright, I'm going to start the cauliflower and we'll see how it goes. So, let me show you guys. So for the cauliflower mash, I've got some chopped cauliflower here. I'm going to add a cup of milk and a cup of... No, I don't want you to. We did this for you. I'm going to do it right now. It looks like a good recipe, and I think I have time. So this was a cup of milk and a cup of cream. I'm going to throw in some butter because butter will make it good. And this goes on the stove. I'm going to put it on high and cross my fingers. Okay, let me run through this recipe real quick while we're talking about the cauliflower, just so you guys don't miss anything. So basically we're going to cook the cauliflower in the cream and milk and butter. We're going to get it nice and soft. We're going to drain it out a bit. We're going to add a bit of cream cheese. And we are going to top it with some cauliflower, like, burnt ends. So when I was doing the cauliflower, I saved these guys. I saved the nicest little florets. And what we're going to do is we are going to scoop in a little duck fat in here. And we are going to crisp these up in the duck fat. And then we're going to top the cauliflower with it. Probably with some chives or something, because that sounds fun. Yes, duck fat. I'm have a thing about duck fat, I will admit. It's a really useful fat, and I always have like a giant container in the fridge because I do a lot of duck confit. So you always seem to have more than you need. Oh yeah. Well, if you are a vegetarian, don't use the duck fat. You could use butter. Wait, yeah, butter's vegetarian, right? Is butter vegetarian? It's not vegan. Butter's vegetarian though. Anyway, if you are a vegetarian, use the vegetarian cooking oil medium of your choice. Yeah, duck. Sorry about that. I'm not serving a vegetarian tonight, so you can cut me a little slack on that one. I'm also going to stir up the chicken so they're not stuck together. And they are just coming along great. Light. Lost my paper towel. This is annoying, I really need it. Oh well. It happens. Anybody see the paper towel on cam? Nope. Alright, fine. Oh, and so for the, since we're doing that, the chicken's almost ready. For the Hattie B's sauce, how long do I eat? I do 6 or 7 minutes. No, you don't need a thermopan, it's overkill. 6 or 7 minutes for the breasts and maybe 12 for the dark meat. So this here, this is another carrier for our spice mix, and this is actually this is lard. So what we're going to do is spice mix goes into the lard. Woo, wow, it's strong. And this will get ladled over the finished chicken. You guys can't smell it, man. We had smell-o-vision. This is potent. It's very low fat, yes. I find with deep frying food that the best way to make it even more low fat is then to coat it in another fat after. If that makes sense. To be honest, actually, if you're just doing regular chicken wings in a deep fryer, they come out with less fat than they went in because as the skin crisps up, the fat will render out into the surrounding oil. Okay, let's see where we're at with the chicken. Oh, looks good. Okay, so here we go. Ooh, it's hot. So there's our first 3 pieces. And since somebody was asking about the thermopan, okay. If you wanted to check, this guy is 120. Oh, he's not cooked. Look at that. Having said all that, he is. Okay. So these 2 big guys are going back. For a second. I'm glad we checked. Thank you for the thermopan tip. To be honest, they were 130, and they probably, I'm looking for around 135 I could split one in. I bet you if I split that in half, it would be very slightly pink in the middle, and if I let it sit for 6 or 7 minutes, it would just finish cooking. However, since we're checking anyway, we might as well do it right. So in the meantime, I'm going to coat one of these so we can see what that looks like. Okay. Let me see what this looks like. Nice solid coating of good spicy stuff. Alright, I'm not biting into this just yet. Yeah, for chicken breasts, I never go that high on my chicken breasts. I find at 165 they're just dry. This one's 150, and the 165 temp was to kill salmonella, which dies around 165. And honestly, I'd rather run the risk of getting salmonella, which is extremely rare, than have chicken breast white meat cooked to 165, because it's just going to dry out. But we can split one of these guys and have a look. Yeah, see, look. So this is perfect. This is 150 degrees in the middle. I wouldn't want it much higher than that. It's cooked all the way through. It's incredibly juicy. We'll see if it tastes any good. Oh, it's hot. Looks good. Wow. Oh, you guys see that one though? Excuse me. So yeah. This is, and it's got a nice crunchy crust. Juicy as hell. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm hungry too. Okay. I'm just checking on the cauliflower. Not quite there yet. Alright, and these guys are definitely done now. And just out of curiosity, let's check temperature in these guys. Again, it's only got up to one. I don't know if you guys can see. It got up to about 150. That's right where I want these to be. I'm gonna let those cool for a sec, and I'm gonna try the other one. Okay, so any questions about frying chicken? Let's see where we're at with this here. You can see the, this is the crispy cauliflower. It's going to make a nice crunchy topping for our mash. Beer with fried chicken. Yeah. I mean, you can drink whatever you want with fried chicken, but I find beer is the best thing. If you were going to drink a wine with fried chicken, you'd have to pick something pretty aggressive to stand up to the taste. Okay, so this is the Hattie B's Nashville chicken. You can see how much darker it is. And that's, of course, the spice rub. Also, super, wow. Holy shit. That's really spicy. So in that in that sauce dip, there's a sauce lard, which is only like a third of a cup of lard. There was 3 full tablespoons of cayenne pepper. So it's quite spicy. I like spicy food, but wow. Apparently, if you go into these restaurants, and I've never been, but from out of town, they will warn you off ordering anything above like their medium level. They probably have a tourist level for it. Okay. Let me see if I can bring this mash thing over front and center, so you guys can see what's going on. So the goal here is to, cook it till it's tender. I don't think we're there yet. Oh, actually, it's not too bad. Okay, I'm gonna let this go just a little bit longer, but I think I can add the cream cheese now. So because I don't feel that this has enough fat for a vegetable dish, I'm gonna throw in some cream cheese. Kind of boost it up a bit. Stir it in, make it good. This is really spicy. All right, so a little bit longer. So by the way, I found this cauliflower recipe in my fried chicken cookbook because somebody was asking about it, and I knew I was doing fried chicken, and I figured they got to do something with cauliflower. So here you go. So any questions? And I know kind of like jumped horses in midstream here. Now we're doing cauliflower. Any questions about this? This is a pretty basic technique. We're just, boiling the cauliflower in milk and cream. Thank you. By the way, and since we're talking about requests and whatnot, not everything I do is super rich, super high fat, and quite so indulgent. I will say a lot of my favorites are. My go-to recipes tend to be comfort food, things that I like to eat. But if you guys have requests or suggestions or something you want to see prepared, should you keep your chicken in the oven to keep it warm? Yeah. So I'm going to take the cauliflower out and I'm going to puree it. So I'm going to take the cauliflower out, but I'm going to keep the cooking liquid, and I'm going to adjust the consistency of the mash with the cooking liquid until it's where I like. But yeah, no, I'm not keeping all this liquid. And this burner, man, holy crap. Chicken in the oven. My fried chicken never lasts long enough to get cold, so I never have to worry about keeping it warm. Paella. That is involved. Let me think about paella. I do a really good paella, but it's... Well, I mean, let me look into it. You could keep it warm in the oven, but quite frankly, the fried chicken is great just a little bit warm, or even room temperature. Like, I like it all different temperatures. I'm quite happy to take, like, if I just take this out of the fridge for lunch tomorrow, I'd rather just have it, like, warmed up in, warm room temperature on the counter. Excuse me. Yeah, it wasn't a fluke. That's really hot. But as I said, generally, again, with the fryer, since I'm only doing 3 or 4 or 5 pieces at a time, it never really gets cold. Still don't think we're there yet. Oh, yeah, we are. Okay, never mind, I lied. Okay, let me see if I can do this in my limited space. Ooh, I have a good ramen recipe. And creme brulee is awesome. Yes, we could do creme brulee. I just got a kitchen torch too. I don't know where it went. Nope. Yes. So I discovered these things. Speaking of, we're going to use up all my favorite things in one night. It's not fair. However, since we're here, I discovered these things. Kitchen torches have always sucked. This was $16 on Amazon, and it goes on the same container that the stove takes, and it's quite a satisfying flame. So this is going to serve. See, this is going to serve two purposes in my kitchen. I'm going to use it for creme brulee, which it's going to excel at. It's also going back to the steak last week. This is amazing for putting a sear on a steak, especially like if you did a sous vide in the thing, then just blast it with this thing. Gives you that nice sort of steakhouse char. Okay, in the meantime, let's finish off this cauliflower mash, which actually smells amazing. Oops. Okay, so this, again, I mean, hang on. That's the one I wanted. So I'm just lifting this into the blender. Okay. And I can tell right away that's not going to be enough liquid, so I'm just going to add a little bit of this. So one of the things you have to be really careful about, since we're talking about kitchen safety and tips and whatnot, is when you put something hot in the blender. So normally I would actually wait for this to cool down a few minutes, because when you put something really, really hot in the blender and then put it under pressure, it has a tendency to just explode. So I'm going to vent this, and it may go everywhere, but better safe than sorry, right? Now we're alright. Oh, that's perfect. Fuck, it looks good. One shot in the head at the end. So this actually looks really nice. Okay, I'm going to serve it in this. So you can see I have like the absolute perfect consistency for a mash. So I think for this particular dish, you'd want it a little runnier than mashed potatoes. Oh, the other thing is I seasoned this a little bit when you guys weren't looking, before in the thing. And then we're going to top it with, ooh, that's hot, our little cauliflower and duck things here. So next time I do this, I will make more crispy topping, because you can see I don't have enough. And maybe some chives for color here. A little more for color. It might firm up. I don't know. Can you guys see this okay? Anyway, I'm going to try this. This is a first for me. So I've obviously never made this before. But it seemed like a good idea. See if it's any good. A little topping, a little crunch. A little hot. Okay. This is really good. It's a really nice consistency. It tastes very much like cauliflower, which is reassuring. This particular one is under seasoned a bit, so I'm just going to give it a little. Normal. I should have tasted it before I popped it out, but I think it just needs a little bit of salt. There we go. Perfect. Just need a little kick. Now, again, we've talked about salting food before. This doesn't taste saltier than the first taste I had. It simply tastes more like cauliflower. It tastes more like cream and cauliflower and all the good stuff that's in it, because that's what salt does. It enhances your flavors. I also wouldn't put pepper in this, by the way. Oh, it's great. It's really good. So, any questions about the cauliflower? As I said, I would do more crispy topping on this one. I would also crisp it up a little more, or maybe use the crispy topping right away because these got a little bit soft. They're not too bad. So that's kind of where we're at, guys. That's we covered the two kinds of fried chicken, which I'm going to keep eating because it's really good. I'm going to get this back over here. I have made a mess. So, and the other thing too, I've talked about this before. I normally don't. I normally clean everything as I'm cooking. I don't want to be turning my back to you guys all the time, but normally when I would be finishing this cooking session, I would have, this cutting board to wash, maybe a sheet pan, and maybe a pot on the stove. It really pays to make your cooking so much more relaxing. Every time you have a spare second, wash something, put it away. It's so nice to get to the end of a meal and just not have a ton of dishes. Don't do it on stream. I just want to bring it up. But yeah, that's it. So this if you Google cauliflower mash, you saw what I did. It's really straightforward. It's just cauliflower, milk and cream, and some butter. Do I have a good coleslaw recipe? I do have a couple. So it depends on whether you like a Louisiana style slaw or like a mayo based slaw. I like both. But at its most basic, I think vinegar based slaws are better. So mine's simply mostly green cabbage, a tiny bit of red, a tiny bit of sliced carrots, and then just a vinegar dressing. Salt, pepper, vinegar, and enough oil to carry the vinegar to the dressing, or the coleslaw. Coleslaw is not complicated. If you want to do a mayo-based one, that's a little different. But I'm not a huge fan. If I want a mayo-based thing, and I'm going to do it like a barbecue-style thing with coleslaw, I'll just have potato salad. Smash burgers. I can do smash burgers. I actually have this. I don't know if I told you guys this story. I originally, for this stream, bought a giant... apple cider vinegar is really nice. I bought a giant flat-top grill called the Blackstone. It was gas-powered. I cooked one thing here as a test before I did the stream, and discovered it was not a small apartment, or probably not even an indoor appliance at all. It was really fun to use, but it was... I had the fire department call on me every time I used it, and it got really smoky in here. But when I ordered it, I also ordered a Hell's Handle. This giant, it's called a Smashula, and it's specifically for doing smash burgers. You can't tell on the stream. This is not a flexible spatula. This thing is like 2 pounds, and it works amazing for pressing a burger. So maybe, how do you guys feel about that? We could do smash burgers. There's a couple of different preparations you can do. We can play with the toppings a bit. They're not super... They're really good. I was going to say they're not elegant or whatever, but fuck it. They taste amazing. I have been itching to make my own American cheese. So, I don't know if you guys know this. You guys were in the States for a while. You can't buy American cheese in Canada. Kraft slices don't count. Velveeta sucks. The closest you can get are like the Kraft single deluxe ones, and they're still not that great. American cheese, like real American cheese, is an actual cheese, like it's an actual good cheese product that happens to melt beautifully over burgers. You can make it yourself. You need, maybe I'll get into that next week. You can make it yourself. You need sodium. You need this stuff. This is sodium citrate. This, by the way, is like a lifetime supply because you only use this a half teaspoon at a time. This is the stuff that they put in nacho cheese. You know, the nacho cheese you get in the theater that's runny at every temperature, even room temperature. The reason it is, and the reason it's so smooth and glossy, is this stuff. It emulsifies cheese, and with a little bit of water and a teaspoon of this, you can take a really, really excellent cheese and turn it into like a smooth, creamy sauce. I use this sometimes in mac and cheese, depending on the preparation. So that's that. So yeah, we'll do smash burgers next week. I'll probably do fries again in the duck fat because you can't have burger without fries. And I mean, duck fat's always good, right? So that is going to be the plan for next week. Any particular, so we've talked about smash burgers, any particular burger that people want to have? Like, I'm going to do a bacon double cheeseburger. Sweet potato fries. Okay, I can do sweet potato fries. Maybe that'll make it, because we did the frites already. So we'll do smash burgers with sweet potato fries. At least one of the burger preparations will be a bacon double cheeseburger, because that's a burger that I feel very strongly about. Duck fat is great. Duck fat is better for you than butter. I love butter, so I'm not knocking butter. When I say duck fat is better for you than butter, it has less saturated fat than butter. I don't care about that. I love both things, but if you do care about saturated fat, then duck fat's a great alternative because it has a ton of flavor and low in saturated fat. It's a win. I spent a long time perfecting my bacon double cheeseburger recipe. I have some strong feelings about how a bacon double cheeseburger should go together. So, and then we'll do a blue cheese one. There you go. Sweet potato fries, blue cheeseburger, bacon double cheeseburger. That's it. What do you guys think? All right, we're running just over an hour. So, I'm going to hang out for a bit. Give me 2 seconds. So I'm going to celebrate the end of the stream with an after-dinner drink here. And I'll be here for a few minutes to answer any questions that you guys might have about anything that happened. I think we pretty much covered everything. I want to say thank you to the person who recommended the cauliflower thing. I will make this again. It may not go in my blue book yet, but I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It's an excellent side dish. This is Crown Royal. Not too fancy tonight, but I like it. So there's that. Yeah, I'm happy with the way tonight went, guys. And if you have any questions, now's the time. Also, if you haven't signed up for Twitch or followed the channel, I appreciate everybody who's followed already because it's great. My only goal to getting to 50, because I'm just doing this for fun. Most of you I know, or some of your family. So I'm not trying to grow this into a huge thing. However, if we get to 50 followers, the videos stay saved on Twitch forever, which means that people keep asking because they've missed a night and they want to go back and watch it. Right now you can go back 2 weeks, but if we get to 50 followers and we're like 38 or something, it means that the videos will be permanent. So there you go. So anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out with me. We'll be back next Wednesday to do it again. Tofu. Yeah, I have some good tofu recipes, actually. It would be, I mean, it would be more of an Asian thing probably with tofu. Are you guys feeling tofu? Because as I said, my comfort foods are, a lot of them are protein based. It's smash burgers and steak and fried chicken. But as I said before, probably a couple of weeks ago, my favorite thing to make is what I'm cooking for somebody. I mean, I do, as I said, I do love, if I'm cooking just for myself, I'll make a plain white risotto. I love that. But my favorite things to make are the things I'm cooking for other people that I know they're going to really like. So I will think about something for tofu. My ramen recipe is really involved, but I can't do it next week. So we're going to have to stick with burgers for next week. But I can make up some ramen noodles for the week after. Yeah, I can do that. And if we're using tofu, so do you guys want, if I do ramen, would you want a vegetarian ramen? Like based around tofu and is an egg vegetarian? Somebody's got to coach me on vegetarian, guys. Eggs are vegetarian, so I can still do like the the half-cooked egg thing, which I really, really like. Okay. So remind me next week, because I won't remember, but when we're doing burgers, we'll do a vegetable-based ramen. How about a miso-based ramen? Like a miso-based ramen, because that will be a vegetarian stock. Okay, so here's another question for vegetarians. I normally do my my ramen as a double soup, which means it's half dashi and half, in this case, it'll be like a miso-based vegetarian broth. Dashi comes from fish, so that's not vegetarian, right? Because we gotta work the umami flavor into it somehow, and if I can't use a dashi, um, how about a mushroom based? Yes, mushroom. See, great minds think alike. We could do a double soup with a mushroom on one, like a mushroom broth and a vegetable broth, will be really good. With tofu, yeah, soy or miso. Tamari, yeah, that would work too. Okay, so we have options. We have options. Yeah, we could do a soy miso too. Okay. Well, I mean, either way, I'm the only one here eating it, so I can show you how to do it. And if you want to make a vegetarian version or you want to sub an ingredient, that's what this is all about. Is taking what we do here and applying it to your own circumstances and your own tastes and whatever. I don't like Marmite. I tried. I wanted to because I thought it was cool. I like the whole concept of Marmite. I can't. There's very few things I don't like the flavor of, and Marmite's one of them. Sorry. Maybe I'll give it another shot. It has been a while. We could do a weekly Rob eats a weird thing suggested by people. But let me think about that. I eat enough weird things already. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much for, again, showing up and watching and keeping me company. I love doing this. I'm going to continue doing it, and we'll do burgers next week. So, have a great night, everybody.